Finale theories. We have 1 episode left. There's 8 episodes. It's weird. It struck me. I saw House of the Dragon last night.
Quiet. Don't spoil nothing.
Nothing. It's so good. It's like savoring a well-cooked steak. It's amazing. Every episode, and whether something happens or not, everything is consequential. There isn't a wasted scene. There's not a wasted line. Script, you probably agree, it's a well-written show.
Very tight script and really well paced.
It was a little over an hour. This was a little longer.
You know what? I just have to say real quick on this. I just binged. I just started watching House of the Dragon last Thursday, and right now I'm up to episode 3 of this season. So that I'm only a few episodes behind. But I got to tell you, man, the palate cleanser that came with watching House of the Dragon. I miss good writing, man. Like it honestly, it was good for my soul watching House of the Dragon.
Yeah,
it's like a real TV show.
Yes,
made by professionals who know how to do television.
The same effect it had the first time, except Rings of Power that time, that it was cleansing us up, and now it's here to save us from this and other things.
The irony is that Ryan Condal actually pitched a Conan the Barbarian series at Amazon, and they killed it because it was far too violent and sexually exploitative.
Jennifer Salke decision.
HBO just sweeps them up with House of the Dragon, and look at that. They're killing Amazon in those numbers.
Yeah, well, it's just the contrast is striking, but there's one episode of The Acolyte left out of an 8 episode series, and there are so many conflicts. The show is all over the place. How are they going to wrap this up in 26 minutes? I want to hear everyone's theories, because you've got Soul's confession, Master Soul. You've got Osha May conflict. They're both separated. That's something that happens in Star Wars a lot. Primary characters get separated, then come together. How do you see this thing wrapping up? I know I agree with Alan. Whatever happens, it'll be awful. But what do you all think? Jump in and give us your theories.
Well, my predictions are Osha and May are going to merge into one whole Rick James. and there's going to be a big dance sequence at the end with her and the other witches to Super Freak.
Twin flame.
There you go. I don't know where they're going to go with this. Go ahead, Nerd Cookie. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think they're going to do the first Force dyad so they could justify that horrific element they introduced in the sequel trilogy. I think that is what it was leading to all along.
Yeah.
And Kiadi Mooney is just going to back out of the room like, I don't see nothing.
I mean, how do you wrap this up in one episode?
You don't. They don't have a way to do it. That's why she's been talking about a season 2. She's been trying to get a season 2 talk, in the conversation. Say, oh, if it gets renewed, we're gonna keep going deeper into, Darth Plagueis. And I'm like, look, nobody wants to see any more of this, with the exception of the people that want to laugh at it. They have so many loose ends that they're gonna try to tie up. One thing I'm curious, how are they gonna connect this to the to the sequels? Because I think there was a mention somewhere that Kylo Ren's music was playing when Chimere was on screen.
They're shipping Chimere and Osha, and it's a Reylo thing.
Is that what it means? Is that what it's connected to? Okay, because somebody was saying, oh, this might make it the Knights of Ren. This is the first of the Knights of Ren.
And in the interview, she asked that, the Nerdist, she did a really long Mary Sue interview that then Theory reacted to and got attacked. And then she did a really long Nerdist where she explains almost everything. None of us knew what the fuck is going on, I swear. Her ideas of what was happening at that last episode are completely different than what everyone else thought. That's a long way to say I have no idea, and I don't think she does either.
I think my only
in the interview.
I think my only real prediction is they're going to make the Jedi look even worse in the finale.
Yeah.
Well, are they ever going to get to the point where I thought this series was supposed to be an exploration of the Sith, and I haven't seen the Sith really explored at all. So that's like we got taken for a ride with this whole situation, because that would have been interesting. Okay, let's explore the Sith. Let's dive into the Sith. I wouldn't have had any Jedi in this show whatsoever. We're just going to deal with the Sith, the rule of two, and deal with that. nothing. We've seen nothing of the sort. So it's like, all right, are you finally going to get to that? Probably not, because it's just been a bait and switch this entire time. Also, Leslie Headland can push her "I hate Jedi," nonsense, which is
She
just
mentions
ridiculous.
at the end of the interview
so true.
that
We're
if
at
she
episode 7.
if she got another season, she would connect it to Plagueis and the Sith, basically tacitly admitting we haven't seen the Sith. We've seen a dude that's been kicked out of the Jedi and then been rejected by another dark side Force user master and boo boo bee boo, and now it's a him and OSHA shipping thing. I still say we haven't seen any Sith.
Can I make
but it goes back to, what is the show about?
Right. That's
It
what
was
it was
about-
supposed to be
right.
about.
What is
That's
the
what it
show
was
about?
supposed to be
It's about
about.
a
It was supposed to be.
To
It's
sure
about
you
a
don't
botched
understand the
recruitment
Jedi.
mission.
It's about sisters. That's what it's about. It's
And
about
lesbian space
sisters.
witches.
And I would not be surprised if Saul is the only survivor, but he exiles himself, which inspires Yoda to exile himself at the end of this prequel trilogy, because he's just so embarrassed and cannot face the council and what has happened and what he has done because of his weird, creepy ways of so desperately wanting a Padawan, and also inauthentically thinking that because these two girls, which seem to be perfectly healthy and fine, and maybe they're raised by a witch covenant, but you know what? They're alive. They made it to that age. That's a good sign of parentage right there.
I can tell you, Leslie answered all this, by the way. She explains how they were made, what they were made for, what's on the planet. I could tell you all of it, or we can keep guessing. But the point is, she contradicts even herself at the end of that interview. But
Yeah, I read that, and you could definitely see why the show is written the way it is. She contradicts herself so many times. This show has no conviction, because she has no conviction. She doesn't know what she wants to tell.
I feel like, bitch, you wrote it. You wrote it. You should be the one to know.
Okay, well, here's my, and I watch a lot of streams. Someone brought this up and it makes sense. All the Jedi who were killed come back to life. Their lives are saved because of the planet itself being the center of strong force power, like the planet Genesis in Star Trek. I'm serious.
Well, that mean the witches
I know
come
you're
back to
serious.
life?
Brenda,
Jedi.
The virgins,
They'll all come back. No, so no one died.
the Force
No.
Nexus or virgins
Yes,
is in that
something
pit
like
that
that.
they're worshiping.
Some
And Leslie
BS
said it's
thing.
like the thing. That's why it's an old mining facility. That it's
Yeah.
not exactly good or bad. It's been uncovered, and everyone
Right.
dies, and it's uncovered again. So, I mean,
But that's
And
not
it
really
will
in the
fade
show. Like,
Star
that's
Wars.
what's terrible about it.
none of what she says is in this goddamn show, including what she says Mother Anastasia is doing at the end when she turns into a big smoke demon monster.
'Cause
Yeah,
that
she's
makes
trying
sense.
to take her and May into the Force or some nonsense like
She's
that. That's what
transforming into the Force in a way that will not kill them.
Yeah,
Oh my
which is killing them. See, that's what you're saying too, that she can't have conviction in what she wants to do.
Or it's what
he
Mother
literally
Coral
cites
does.
what Jackie says, and Jackie says, "Oh, it's a privilege to watch anything transform into the Force," right after the bug was killed. So it was in reference to death in that way, and that's the only time that's ever referenced, is transforming into the Force that way. But she's like, "Oh, she's transforming into the Force in a way that doesn't kill them." That is literally an oxymoron. That is not,
yes.
you can't transform into the Force and
Yes.
not die. That's
Well,
kind
they
of
turned it into apparating. It's what Coral does at the end, where she looks like she's apparating away into black smoke. That's just a power
When
they
you
can
hear
do
her
now.
talk about it, you can definitely see why the show is the way it is, why nothing anyone does makes
She
sense,
has no
because she
rules.
herself does not know. She doesn't adhere
Yes.
to, she doesn't know what her characters want. She's guessing. She says, "I think Anastasia's motives are this." Well, don't you know? You wrote it.
Yeah, there's no room for thinking when you're writing a story. I mean, I've seen this actually in screenplays recently where they're like, oh, this character, maybe they're doing this. It's like, no, there's no room for maybe. Everything has to be planned and organized in a story because you have to shoot it. And if you have ambiguity, then you don't have a story. And the aspect of this is that, so she's transforming into the Force. Well, we've already seen really two strong examples of that with Obi-Wan and Yoda. That's how you transform into the Force. You just kind of vanish and some of your robes lay behind and the rest of you're there and you live on within the Force. But she's now trying to conflate that, no, you don't really live on the Force. You just kind of meld with it in a more different way, but you don't do it through the normal way that we've seen, the very, low rent special effects, but still effective. You do it in this elaborate kind of turning into the cloak and dagger of the Marvel universe and surrounding one of your children.
Showing their
But
witch
even
version
in
of
that
it.
transition, it can be.
Well, yeah.
like a
Remember, this
lightsaber.
isn't the Force. This is the thread. So you gotta get your
No, no,
terms
no.
right, guys.
She
They
confirms-
transform it into the thread. This is
So she
different.
confirms that they're